hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
There are so many ways that Hollywood and other, creators and directors, authors, producers across the world are trying to just change the way we film things and change the way we view films. And the one that you're recommending today is super interesting because I think I've come across it, but I've completely forgotten about it. But I feel like you might be able to convince me to actually watch it.
It is a one-of-a-kind film. It's a mystery thriller drama. It's a story about this single father who apparently has his daughter go missing for about 37 hours.
So taken.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And out of desperation, he gets the police involved. He gets the detective involved, and he has no other choice but to sort of backtrace where she could have vanished by looking through her email, looking through her laptop. And what I love about this movie is it takes the whole movie is taking place entirely in screens, like on the Skype, on Facebook, her accounts, her emails, and it's almost like if you're tech savvy, we are in a world where we're constantly using phones and we're communicating. The movie is smart in a way that it doesn't spoon feed you. You know what exactly is happening whenever they give you visual information about the situation.
Yeah.
And you see this father who is, with every hour, every hour in the story, he is slowly he's just having a mental breakdown. He's slowly going crazy, and he's desperate, he's stressed, he's almost, you can see he's in pain, because he's like, what could have happened to my daughter? How is this possible? So just like any of us, if a beloved goes missing, we're gonna try to find a way to figure out how this happened. And through the laptop and through the phone calls and maybe some potential associates of his daughter, he goes through all sorts of information just to figure out any bits of leads, and what I love about the movie is it actually makes us worried about the ones we love, because when, for example, whenever there's a message from a friend or by a guy, for example, there was this one point where he finds out a message log and she's talking with this guy. He already assumes the worst, this guy probably abducted her, or something like that.
He is the person, or he is the reason why she's been missing for the past couple of hours.
Yeah, and another thing is that he also comes to uncover this live stream website that she was involved in, and then he sees that there's some money being sent by her, and he's trying to understand who is my daughter? Why is this happening? And he learned so much about just the footprint of her social media feed.
Because you are who you are, on social media. Because a lot of people believe that when you're on social media platforms, you are a different person. I believe, I'm one of maybe the few people who believe that no, you're exactly the same person. Yes, a worse version if you might come out sometimes.
Yeah.
But that might just be who you are on the inside. There are a lot more people who are maybe a lot more cautious than others on social media. They have private accounts, etc. But at the end of the day, you do reveal a side of you that is probably hidden in real life. Yes, we have different social circles and we appear differently in every single one of them, and social media happens to be one of them. And doesn't necessarily mean that you are lying on social media. It's just one side of you. Even that liar side is a part of you as well. That is you.
Yeah.
So for example, you're a liar, Mikhail, but you've just appeared the same who you are right now. You're just honest to me, but there is a liar side.
There's a secret life.
Exactly. That's this liar Mikhail hidden inside you, basically.
And that's what the story really focuses on, is the secret life of his own daughter, and especially because the mother passes away. He thinks that he has a healthy relationship with his daughter, but there's something more to it, and he starts to slowly understand her by getting access to all of her accounts and speaking with other friends, and he realizes that he doesn't know her as well as he should, and this movie is so it's so well made when it comes to suspense. Every minute of this movie counts, and it doesn't waste your time. You're looking at every time when he's accessing an account, he's reading an email, when he's making a phone call. All of that build up to the climax of the film. And I'll tell you from now, this is a movie that you will never guess the ending for. It is. And it's not like a cheap twist. It is something that earns itself. And in that moment, you're like, oh my God, how is that even possible? You know,
Yeah.
It really keeps you on edge for the whole time. And it's a reflection of ourselves, and it gets you kind of worried. It's like, do I know enough about the people I love? Do I know enough about the footprint, the social footprint that I leave, that my family leave? And I remember watching with my sister, and I got this like weird feeling. It's like, is there something my sister's hiding from me? Because God forbid something happens to her, and I have to, and I don't even probably have access to her Instagram or something like that. And it's like, how if something goes wrong, what is my contingency plan?
Where do you start?
Yeah, it's stuff like that. The movie makes you think even after you watch it. It is so brilliant. It is a great suspenseful thriller, and the movie is called Searching.
I love how we left it until the very end to tell you exactly what movie Mikhail is recommending.
Yeah, I sort of got a little bit out of track.
I don't blame you. I watched the trailer and I was very intrigued. I've heard of it, and it just happens to be also one of the few movies that have an Asian American lead. I mean, it looks super interesting, guys. Check it out. I might be checking it out myself. Do you know if it's available on any streaming service, on Netflix, maybe?
It's available on Netflix, but in a different region. So if you have a proxy, maybe you can switch it up.
Proxy.
Amazon Prime does have it. I'm not sure if it's in your region as well, but you can check. And if not, then go for alternative links.
No, we don't say it out loud.
Alternative links.
Coming up next is a fantastic game I've been playing, and I cannot put my Nintendo Switch down because of it. Check it out. Want to know what it is? Stay tuned.
Pulse 95.
Back at it again here with the weekend recommendation special, where we recommend some of the best movies, shows, and games and books for you guys to enjoy for the weekend.
We also did board games.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
And
I needed card game, and I know you want to bring more card games.
My collection has expanded since.
It has. But today we're going to be talking about a video game, because, Afternoon Karak is all about video games, etc. and all that. Now,
and I've noticed, you brought the Switch once, and I can see you not only enjoying it, but I feel like you have like a man crush of some kind when it comes to...
Don't put me under the bus like that on air, Mikhail. I do have a massive
do
crush
tell,
on
Aisha.
First of all, thank you for telling people that I have a massive crush on a fictional character and a video game.
No shame. I have my own fantasies.
I get it. I mean, I understand. He is quite interesting in every aspect. The story is about Zagreus, and the game is called Hades. Zagreus in Greek mythology is Hades' son. And in this case, Zagreus wants to leave the underworld. He's like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of my father.
Just like Hades' wife, Persephone.
That's not the story of Persephone, please. Don't you Greek mythology?
I know, but like...
It's not that she was tired. It's because Demeter said that... Obviously, Demeter Kambiti lost her mind because her daughter has been taken to the underworld. Like, how dare he take my daughter? So in that entire chaos and her being upset, because she's also the goddess of harvest, basically what ended up happening is that there was a year-long worth of winter because the goddess of spring and whatnot was gone away.
Which explains the cycle.
Exactly. And she was very upset that her daughter was taken away. She's like, if we don't get my daughter, I'm going to remain upset and, curse the humans. I'm not going to do anything.
So to continue this weird family relationship.
Basically what they said is that they checked with Persephone what has she eaten, and she had eaten 3 pieces of pomegranate. And those 3 pieces signifies the 3 months that are winter. So every 3 months, the 3 months of winter, when there's no, Persephone's not around and Demeter is upset, this is where she is. She is in the underworld. And then she needs to go back to Earth to continue her job, and so Demeter can be upset. Please,
at least she can go out, except for Hades' son. And this is...
Hey, exactly. In this game, Zagreus just basically says, I'm very tired of the underworld, everything, the bureaucracy, everything about my father. I just want to leave. So the game is set where it's an action role-playing game, and you just go through every single level of the underworld until because you want to get out to the normal world and maybe even go to Olympus. Who knows? What ends up happening is that you will die often in this game. And funny enough, you do not mind it at all.
This is one of those kind of games.
It is one of those kind of games, and it just also happens to be the kind of games where you get rewarded for dying. And I don't mean like by incentives or anything, but the storyline becomes richer when you die. It's inevitable that the moment you play, maybe for the first 5, 6, 7, 8 times, you're going to keep on dying instantly. It's going to take you a bit of a while to get a hang of it. But the whole dungeon system and even the way everything is designed is just super intriguing. I have never not cared about dying in my life in a game. Every time I die, I'm like, okay, let's go back again. The thing is, you repeat the entire thing, by the way. It's not like, oh, you have a save point. There are no save points. You die, you might be like 3, 4, 5, 6 levels in. You die, you repeat the entire thing. But here's the thing. Every room is generated randomly. And the thing is, what Zacharias has done, because he wants to leave, he asked Nyx, who is the goddess of the night, to help him with his Olympian cousins and uncles and family up in Olympus. And what they do is they give you powers, and those powers, you borrow them for this entire time. Of course, as you continue, you can accumulate more and more and more. You can pick whichever room you want to go to, and all you know whose power is going to be given to you is based on an emblem or an insignia. They go, okay, you see a trident, you're like, oh, that's probably Poseidon. You see a crossbow, you're like, okay, that's going to be Artemis. Who do I want? Whose powers do I want this time? Artemis, or do I want Poseidon?
Yeah.
So there's an element of choice, element of surprise. That's why, again, every time you die, you don't know what's going to happen next. You might get some really cool powers. What I love about it as well is that your dialogue changes. I've never had the same exact dialogue, and I've died so many times so far. And I've been playing for about, let's see, a month now. The thing is that intrigued me into this game is that I've seen it a while back when it came out in 2018. But it wasn't released on the Switch back then. It was like, I had the limited release. And then when I saw it during Nintendo, what is it called?
Nintendo Direct.
And Nintendo Direct. I was going to call it Nintendo Live, but it's not the right name. Nintendo Direct. We haven't had enough. That's why I keep forgetting the name. But during Nintendo Direct, and I was like, I am intrigued. The animated trailer is just beautiful. It's chef's kiss, honestly. It's just so intriguing. The story build up. And when I tell you get rewarded when you die, I'm not even kidding.
So there's amazing...
It is instead, you have to die to get to also reach some points of the story. And the fact that the dungeon or the levels rotate mean that you might get killed this time by this bunch of monsters, but next time you might not even ever see them ever again for the next 3, 4, 5 stages. It is super, super fun. And again, the concept of, having to die to get to go further in the story is super interesting.
And I think it's in the themes of, you're in the underworld. So when you die in the underworld, you're not technically dead. You're somewhere in that realm once again. And you're as if you're trying to still climb this bottomless pit, So that sounds like a really insane replay value to the game.
Even when it comes to weaponry and whatnot, you can unlock weaponry. There's a lot of, you meet a lot of characters in the underworld. And again, the Olympians, and not only, the deities, but also other well-known characters within Greek mythology, such as, Achilles. You meet Patroclus, I keep getting his name wrong. You might meet Prometheus, you meet Medusa. She's adorable in this one. She's actually like a little gargoyle sort of servant in the underworld. Looks to be adorable. It is just, the lore is so rich, but the game is still so simple at the same time. And there was this plot twist that happened also just because I just died. I was upset. I was like, oh God, did I die again? I'm like, okay, it's fine. And because I died, the story took a different turn I did not expect. There were things you interact with that you cannot interact with. Things you can suddenly interact with that you couldn't interact with, like the last playthrough. And of course, Cerberus. Who can forget Cerberus, the dog of the underworld? There's so many things in this game. Guys, my recommendation, the first recommendation of the hour, is Hades. Check it out. It's available on the Nintendo Switch, on the iOS as well, Mac OS. So Mac people with Apple, you can play this game. And yeah, check it out.
Sounds like a potential indie game of the year.
I'm pretty sure it can easily just sweep all the awards. It is amazing. And also, check out the normal trailer and the animated trailer. It is just so beautiful. And what I like as well is every time he dies and he comes back again, he has the same sentences and he always says like, oh, back it again. And it's just beautiful. One last thing I have to say, the voice acting. Imagine how sometimes in games and whatnot, when you read off something or when you're listening to something, they might read off the first sentence or the first word. The entire thing is narrated. This is how rich this game is. And I keep telling you, every time you die, you have new interactions. Again, and none of them were repeated. Such a rich game. Guys, check out Hades.
All right. And you know what? I think when I do get my Nintendo Switch Pro, I might just pick this game up as part of my library.
I love how you and I are like so convinced. Nintendo Switch Pro is definitely coming out in March. What are you talking about?
Who knows?
Nintendo sent us like a secret email telling us, hey guys, it's coming out. Hype it up.
I feel like you know something that I don't. So we'll wait until there's any possible reports for it. But we're going to take a bit of a break, and coming up next, we have our third recommendation for the hour. So stay tuned.
This is Pulse 95.
We're halfway through our Thursday recommendations, round 2, and kicking it off. We have Mikhail and a video game recommendation. I recommended a video game. Now it's his turn to recommend a video game as well.
So this studio is pretty new. It's called the Massive Studios, and they specialize in creating very narrative-based stories that are specifically horror-based. And, it's been a while since I've played a good horror game, but this studio started off with a game called Until Dawn, and ever since then I've loved them, and now they're working on the Dark Anthology series. So Until Dawn is a sort of like a butterfly effect narrative horror adventure game.
Ooh, I like that. Where
you get to control 8 characters who go out on a remote getaway at a snowy mountain somewhere in the United States. They were invited by one of their rich buddies as sort of like an annual reunion. But things slowly go wrong as they realize there's a unknown threat that's watching them. And so they try to find a way to get out of the mountain before it's too late. And what I love about this is that every time you control a character, you get to control the dialogue, what sort of snappy decisions they have to make in the moment. And there's some quick time events, and you always wonder what exactly is this action that you make with a character. How is it going to ripple through the entire story? Because one little mistake or even a thing you say to another character will affect the outcome of the story later on.
I love those type of games. It makes them feel a lot more realistic, and I don't mean like realistic in the sense that the story is realistic or the characters look realistic, but the fact that their decisions and the entire story itself, the essence of it, becomes more realistic, and you feel like you're invested in it. You are actually part of it. What do you say makes a difference?
The way this game is structured is that for maybe a good hour or two, you're getting to know these characters, how they interact with one another, their relationships and their personalities, and what sort of what kind of history do they have with one another. And that it really gives perspective. And even because at a certain point, then you as a player, your sort of decisions you make are based on your personal interpretations. How do you feel about how this character acts, or their attitude, or the way they talk to you, And because of those decisions, you either going to regret it or you're going to be happy with it. Now, ideally, this game is, this game is going to pretty much tell you, ideally, the objective is to try to have all the characters survive. And it's possible. But the thing is, you never know what moment, what decision, what dialogue you choose that could cause them to survive or could cause them to lead them to their death. And it's all wrapped around some really great, American horror mythology. I won't unveil what the threat is, because for a good half of this game, it really throws you out of a loop. You're thinking, okay, this is all we have to deal with. There's this maniac, right? But then something else happens, and it's like, okay, there is legitimate danger going on here, and you're worried for these characters. Some characters, and I'm gonna say this, you're gonna hate them. You're really gonna straight up hate them, and you might be satisfied when they die. I don't know, but then at the same time, you can try. You have to try your best to help them survive their encounters with the threat. And I love it so much because this game can be replayed so many different ways. And by the end of it, depending on who survives, they actually show you like a little bit of. They show you at the end like a scoreboard, and they show you the decisions that led up to that moment, like if a character died, or how you were able to allow them to survive, and how many times they actually missed a death encounter. Like how many times, like, oh wow, that was close. I didn't even realize it. Thank God I pressed that square button in that moment. Stuff like that, you know, or that dialogue choice that actually affects a relationship between certain characters. And they even show you like a global statistics of what players chose for those specific moments, and whether you are part of a majority vote or even a minority vote. And this it's so great because there's so many multiple endings because of just the butterfly effect system that's built into the game. Every decision legitimately matters, and you feel like you have like absolute control of these characters, whether you want to get them killed or not. You know,
I like that.
It's pure choice. I love it so much, and I love this studio, and they're still continuing it with their latest games. They came out recently with the Man of Medan, as well as Little Hopes, and there's also another one that's coming out maybe next year. But they're pumping out that same formula, that same experience, where the player, it's all up to the player to choose the demise or the fate of these characters in the story. And what's even great with the later games is that they have multiplayer features, so you can play with 2 up to 5 players, and each of you are playing in real time, making real time choices that actually affect each other.
Ooh,
so there could
that.
be like a dialogue happening here in this room between these 2 characters, and that could lead to the death of one of your friend players. It's crazy stuff. But start off with Until Dawn. It's available on PS4. Unfortunately, it's an exclusive, but it's such a blast. And there are going to be moments where you're going to be freaking out, you're going to be laughing your butt off, and you're always going to, like, after you're done, you're going to either play it again or go on YouTube and it's like, what happened to that character if I didn't do the wrong thing? You know, stuff like that. So really try it out. It's one of my favorite horror games out there. Super clever and super like just player choice. So please check it out. It's on PS4. It's called Until Dawn.
Well, there you have it. Mikhail's second recommendation of the hour. Coming up next is my final recommendation. It's a Netflix documentary that I'm pretty sure some of you might have seen it around. Maybe, maybe not. It is one of the most watched movies and videos on Netflix lately. So stay tuned for that and much more right here on the Afternoon Karak.
This is Pulse 95.
Oh boy, we're minutes away from wrapping up the show and calling it the weekend because, oh man, it's been a crazy week. It's been kind of a bit stressful. We even addressed it yesterday with the Stress Awareness Day. You know, that's something very important, you guys. Remember to try to de-stress, find de-stress techniques.
Absolutely.
And you can also check out our yesterday's episode on it, Aisha.
It was episode number 500 as well.
Man.
It was 500, yay to us.
Honestly,
we did it.
It's quite a milestone, and I'm really proud of us.
Yes.
You know, and I hope we can go 500 episodes more.
Remember, only halfway to 1 million.
Exactly.
Umnia Saleh, we are not sorry about that.
I hope she's tuning in.
Hope she's tuning in. I think she's on her way back home right now. So my last and second recommendation of the hour is a documentary. Now, Mikhail, when you look at history documentaries, I don't know about you, but the narration in my head, people I see doing the excavation, the people just talking, explaining everything to me, have always been Western. And in my head, I always hear it. The narration is always in a British accent, like similar to, the one and only, my favorite,
David
Attenborough. Like, I love him and appreciate him when it comes to wildlife documentaries. But I often I'm like, where are other narrations? Where are other people? Where are the people of the country or the civilization we're trying to celebrate in this documentary? Which is why I appreciate this one very, very much, because this is about a group of Egyptian archaeologists and an Egyptian excavation team who back in 2018, they find a tomb that hadn't been touched for 4,400 years.
Oh, wow.
And they find it by coincidence. I mean, they do know that this area, Saqarra, is a well-known area for, it's a valley. It's well known that there are going to be some tombs and some things happening. And obviously, they've been excavating this place for a very long time. I mean, I've studied it back when I was a kid, when I was very young, in primary school, in middle school. They always speak about it. But the fact that even then, there's something that we thought that we discovered completely like 70, 100 years ago.
There's been generations of excavation in Egypt and all these tombs. And just recently discovering this new thing, you know?
Yes, exactly. And again, what I love the most about it is that, one, it brings out the whole excitement of, oh, there are so many things we still haven't found and haven't excavated completely. And also, again, the fact that it was completely a group of Egyptian archaeologists, a group of Egyptian diggers, Egyptian foremen, Egyptian, experts and Egyptologists and translators, hieroglyphics, I wouldn't call them advisor, but translators. They were, even the anthropologists they were all Egyptian. Basically, what they're trying to find, they find this tomb in Saqarra, and it is of who appears to be an Egyptian priest. His name is Wahdi, and I love how they actually do the translation while they're there. They're like, okay, look at this. We think it's this. No. Like, okay, his name is Wahdi, but who is he? His tomb was very interesting. He, even though he's a priest, you think he'd be a bit more humble, but no, the entire tomb is like, you see his name here, everywhere. It's telling his story. And you find out also that along with it, he's buried with his mother, his wife, his 3 kids, and his brother. And sometimes when they're digging the shafts and whatnot, they find nothing, and they're very confused as to why are those kids also, buried? Why is he buried? Why is his entire family here? What is going on to them? What was his life? And why was he so self-obsessed? Why is he super obsessed with himself? What about Wahdi that makes him Wahdi? So it's very, very interesting. And again, I didn't mention the name, just like how I didn't mention the name earlier. The name of the documentary is Secrets of the Saqarra Tomb. Again, guys, it's amazing. It's available on Netflix. It's actually created by Netflix. Some people thought that this might be too good to be true, or the tomb was fake. But again, this is actually true. If you go back to 2018, I remember this very clearly. I think I was even reading the story back during the news, when I was writing the news. And they were talking about the whole excavation and whatnot. And basically what happened is that the news broke out, and Netflix were like, okay, let's do it. Let's go straight into it and jump into it. And 2 years later, you see the hardships that they also go to when it comes to funding, when it comes to securing men, and even learn that foremen, like the ones who are digging, it's not just, some random people. Some of them have been doing it for generation to generation. Some of them are not young. They're like, yeah, my grandfather used to do this, and my father before him used to do this. And it's just so interesting learning about archaeologists, the story of Wahdi, and at the same time, even the diggers and whatnot, some of them have their kids with them, and they're like, look, I brought my son with me. I'm teaching him what we've been doing, the job of the family, etc.
Yeah, the trade.
And exactly, and the way they dig, he even says, you don't dig normally, it's not how you do it. He shows you how you dig and explains it. It's just so beautiful. I loved it very, very much. And it's thinking about our Stress Awareness Day, it's perfect. Because this was the movie I was watching last weekend when I was trying to de-stress. I wanted to watch something completely mindless and at the same time feel inspired and feel at peace and learn something new. This was what I was watching. The
Secrets of the Saqarra Tomb.
Yes.
I'll have to check it out on Netflix.
Again, it's one of the most watched movies since it was released I believe it was on the 28th of October, so last week. And it was, again, instantly one of the most watched videos/movies up on Netflix, even across the entire world. Check out the reviews and check out the ratings. They're quite high.
I'm sure there's always something interesting and just entertaining about we as humans and our obsession with uncovering the mystery of the world, and this documentary already, from the way you talk about it, like the process of uncovering something that's new, never unheard of, never been documented in history, something worth definitely a watch. watch.
100%. Now let's do a super quick rundown. You started off with your own movie.
Yes, the movie is called Searching. It's a mystery drama thriller about a man who desperately is trying to find where his daughter disappeared. And it's a movie that takes place entirely through screens and devices. And it speaks volume about the way that we how we leave our footprints, our legacy on the internet.
Now, my first recommendation was a video game that I'm super obsessed with lately, and it's all over the internet. It's called Hades, and it tells the story of Zagreus, the son of Hades, who's trying to escape his father's rule, not because his father was bad to him. It's just that he does not want to be confined by his father. He wants to break out and be free. So he seeks the help of the Olympians, his family back on Mount Olympus, to break through the many, many, many levels and stages of the underworld. And the beautiful thing about this game is that actually every time you die, you get rewarded for it, and not just by incentives and small quirks here and there, but also the storyline changes and it advances the more you die.
And another narrative-based game, Until Dawn, a horror game where every choice you make really matters, whether it incentivizes you or punishes you. The point of the game is to try to survive with these 8 characters as you traverse a remote place, a remote mountain getaway. And I'll just tell you this, every time you play it, the experience will be different. It's going to be refreshing, and you never know what kind of ending you're going to get. It's called Until Dawn. It's available on the PlayStation 4.
And finally, The Secrets of the Saqarra Tomb, available on Netflix, a documentary about a tomb that hasn't been touched for 4,400 years. And yeah, that is it. That is our hour right here on the afternoon Karak. We make way for the fantastic Big House and Anna Schofield. We're going to be taking over. And with that, we wish you a wonderful weekend. Keep on jamming. Keep on tuning in to Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.